football presented by Xfinity. And welcome to the ACC on ESPN. Speaking of rivalries, as Reese said, we've got an old one that goes back to their old Big East days. Syracuse and Boston College on Senior Day here at the Heights. Hi again, everyone. I'm Bob Wischusen here with Brock Hewart. Allison Williams will join us in just a moment. Speaking of heights, both of these teams achieved heights that they had not seen in quite some time as this season has progressed. And flashback a couple of weeks ago, before some disappointing losses, these two were skyrocketing up the college football playoff top 25. There still is a lot to achieve for both programs.
Well, I don't think there's any question about it. And for Dino Babers, I think he's a year ahead of where he thought they could be. And last week, a humbling loss to Notre Dame. Said very clearly they were not mature enough. They were not ready for that moment. But this is the first time they've been in the polls in 17 years. Looking for win number 9, make it to number 10 in a bowl game. That would be quite an accomplishment after just 4 back-to-back seasons. And for Steve Addazio on the other side, and A.J. Dillon in particular, he is his stud. He is the best player on this field today. When he is healthy, he dominated this game a season ago, and he and the Eagles on Senior Day trying to get Coach Addazio an 8th win that he's not yet had here at BC.
And Allison, A.J. Dillon has played hurt. Well, the Syracuse quarterback might be doing the same today.
Yeah, Bob, but it's pretty remarkable. Quarterback Eric Dungey expected to play today. Hard to believe after the way he collapsed to the field last week against Notre Dame, but perhaps we shouldn't be surprised. He has proven during his 4 years at Syracuse to be one of the toughest and fiercest competitors, but there's a physicality to the way he plays. He's the team's 2nd leading rusher. He has 12 rushing touchdowns. We'll have to see how much he's able to utilize that component of his game today, but one thing's for sure, you know he's going to leave it all out on the field. He's battled injuries throughout his career. Today, for the first time, though, able to be out there in the final game of the regular season, and you got to believe that means something to Dungey.
Well, let's get ready to learn something new with today's Aflac Game Fact. Aflac! And we mentioned the turnaround that Eric Dungey has been at the center of, and he has been here for all of this. Entering this week, Syracuse, Florida, and Baylor, the only Power 5 programs that have already won at least 4 more games than they did last season. And his courage, Brock, that's a kid that deserves to have his career finish on the field. It would be such a shame to have Eric Dungey standing on the sideline in a warm-up watching his team finish out the season.
And they'd be nowhere near this point. Nowhere near without him and his mentality, just his competitive grit.
Syracuse won the toss and deferred their option to the second half. So here's Michael Walker to start off today's game, and he is a dangerous return man. And he gets to the sideline. Across the 50 before he's finally brought down at the Syracuse 44-yard line. So great field position for Anthony Brown, who has started every game this season, Brock, but has not finished every game. Most notably, a couple of games ago, very disappointing to get hurt early against Clemson when game day was here in Chestnut Hill and not be able to finish that game.
Making his 22nd start, a catastrophic knee injury ended last season for him. Move the chains. Those are the words in Steve Addazio's ears to him all week long. 3rd down, situational football. Keep the chains moving today.
It helps when you've got big number 2 to hand the football to. And there is Dillon blasting forward for 4, maybe 5 yards on 1st down. Ryan Guthrie made the stop for Syracuse.
A couple tempo teams, no huddle throughout, but you will see a mix of formations, and I think you'll see a heavy dose of number 2 and the numbers committed defensively to try to stop them.
Dillon again.
Jeez. Look at that surge.
First down.
My goodness gracious. Look at just the surge off the ball. A Syracuse defensive line without Kendall Coleman, without Josh Black, going to just rotate in about 6 to 8 guys. That's all they have available on that defensive line.
Last year, BC beat Syracuse at the Dome 42-14. They ran for 333 yards in that game, and Dillon had 193 of his own. This time he tries to get to the outside, and he is brought down behind the line by Ryan Guthrie. As we check our impact players, brought to you by Jared.
Yeah, 35+ carries. I think that's realistic for A.J. Dillon today. Running behind that right guard, Chris Lindstrom making his 47th start. Alton Robinson at end is the best player for Syracuse with 9 sacks. And Evan Foster, a little strong safety, will be all around the line of scrimmage today, trying to be the extra unblocked orange defender.
A rollout for Brown. And he finds one of the 6 tight ends that will play a fair amount today. And Cora Badrizi, he picks up about 3, so it will be 3rd down and 7 for a BC offense that at times this year has struggled mightily on 3rd down.
115th out of 129. And for Anthony, this is the down and distance where he'll win or lose this game today. And his ability to get through his progressions and to use his legs, just like his counterpart, Mr. Dungey, does in this down and distance.
Brown with a bullet to the end zone, incomplete. Now it's 4th down and 10. Tommy Sweeney was the intended receiver, so now it will be a field goal try with Colton Lichtenberg. He thought once, Steve Adazio said, he thought once he got inside the 20-yard line, you are now at least in the comfort zone. Where it was 4th down and long, he would feel like his field goal kickers could handle this distance. This one from 33 to get BC on the board. And he hooks it well left. Well, that's why you're going for it on 4th down when you're Boston College, because that kicking game has left them high and dry more than once this season.
Yeah, it's a total mess. And as you're trying to get your 8th win, to really take that next step as a program, and you can't execute these gimmies, that's a tough day.
Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams here in Chestnut Hill. Syracuse to the offense for the first time. And what every Syracuse fan wanted to see with certainty is their senior quarterback on the field, and good for Eric Dungey being able to get out there. And they're going to start the game with a quarterback run. I guess he's healthy as he is ridden out of bounds. A gain of 4 out close to the 24-yard line. Lucas Dennis made the stop, but Eric Dungey, who left the game against Notre Dame, Brock with the back injury and reportedly had to be helped to the bus, able to free that back up enough to play this week. This one to Mo Neal. He picks up 2.
Yeah, and his ability to run. You saw it on that 1st down run. And you're going to see BC, they may have to make a little schematic adjustment. Their ends, they thought they were going to get DeVito today, are going to crash into that inside run. They may have to have a little bit more awareness with number 2 and his ability, the second leading rusher for Syracuse.
Blitz on 3rd down. Underneath, right at the 1st down line to gain is Sean Riley. And it looks like he's a foot short. He was spun back by Max Richardson. It is 4th down and a half yard. And now let's see what Syracuse decides to do. They're going to go for it?
Oh, sure.
Inside their own 30-yard line?
Why not? Have you ever talked to Dino Babers?
All right. 4th and a foot. They get Boston College to jump. There's the flag. It's a free play. They'll go down the sideline for Johnson and drop it in. Sherrod Johnson. Right down the boundary on 4th down and a free play.
Number 38. Penalties decline. Result of the play. 1st down.
You know what that is? That is, I want to get the taste of last week's loss out of all of our mouths. It's a senior quarterback that you trust so doggone much. It's got the ability to use his cadence. That may have just been a cadence exercise, Bob, where they would not have gotten him to jump. They may have punted the ball, but knowing that they could get a hyper-aggressive defense to jump off sides and then to execute a perfectly thrown fade ball. This is what the Orange were missing a week ago.
Dungey, jump pass to the edge. Hakeem Johnson has another 1st down.
Yeah, and you don't always have to use your voice. You can use that clap. And clearly, you see Boston College into the neutral zone and the awareness to throw it down the field.
This time the pocket collapses and Boston College is able to get a tackle for loss as Ray Smith came through. So now it will be 2nd down and long just inside the BC 30-yard line. Here comes a blitz. Dungey avoids a sack. He's going to take a shot to the pylon. Jump ball in the end zone, and it's broken up. Lucas Dennis knocked it away from Jamal Custis, and now it will be 3rd down and 12.
And that is Lucas Dennis wearing the number 31 today. Had a pick in this game, had 7 picks a year ago, and he better get ready. He and these corners on the outside, because you will see vertical shots. You will see Eric Dungey give his guys, especially Custis, his big receiver, those one-on-one opportunities.
It's another BC blitz. Dungey floating in the pocket. He's got some room to run, and he will just buy some room for the field goal group. As Isaiah McDuffie bounced him out at the 26-yard line. He picked up a couple. So it will be 4th down and long for Syracuse. Now conversely, Boston College has kicking trouble. Syracuse has none.
Watch the middle of the field here. Syracuse may have gotten away right there. Typically when you see a defender get pulled to the ground, and that time was Aaron Service, the center. These referees will call it. That time they let it go.
Andre Schmidt might win the Groza Award. He has been as good as any kicker in America this season from 44. How about that?
What'd you say, bro?
That was the announcer jinx to perfection. That might be the ugliest kick that Andre Schmidt has had in practice or a game this season. 1st and 10 BC at their own 26-yard line. A.J. Dillon finds a cutback lane and breaks a tackle. Out to the 43-yard line. Maybe the 44. He picked up 17.
This group's going to be at their best running between the tackles today. Look at the second play of this game. Look at that surge, that A gap today. You hear about the line of scrimmage or winning it in the trenches. To me, it's the A gap trench. It's right there between the center and guard, and you can see AJ. That's been a common sight, unfortunately, for BC, just trying to limp through that aggravating ankle injury.
Well, they still get that surge up front with Travis Levy. Adnan Boston College has it 2nd down and 5 as both teams here have missed field goals to start. Brown back to throw and gets out of the pocket. Off the sideline. Great throw on the run to Chris Garrison. A 1st down to the Syracuse 35. Picked up 17 more.
The more that I watch Anthony play, the more of this I just want to see. He has got this tool set. It is why this staff, Scott Loeffler and crew, really are excited about his next few years. He's just got to continue to grow and gain in confidence and realize he can do that and keep plays alive.
Dillon turns the corner. 1st down and more. Inside the 15-yard line before he's brought down. And he is only a sophomore, so he has at least one more season to do this for Boston College.
What a tremendous job out on the perimeter there. The big left tackle. That was Aaron Montero getting out in front of Dillon there, setting up the block and setting the edge.
Dillon straight ahead. Pounds out about 3 yards.
That may not look like much, 3 or 4 yards on 1st down, but for a group that struggles, especially now, and you saw it on that first field goal attempt, staying on schedule for Scott Loeffler, and just that patience on early downs to take 3 or 4 yards. That is a win, and those body blows will only pay dividends over the course of the game.
Sprint out to the right for Anthony Brown. Across his body, inside the 5-yard line. Ben Glines. 1st and goal down to about the 2.5.
Really nice job. You've seen this now a few times from the Eagles of really flooding that field, getting that first flat defender on those play action passes stretched so you can come in right behind him with the secondary outlet.
Roll out for Anthony Brown. Looking for the throw back to the tight end. And it's there for the touchdown. Jake Bird was able to slip off the line and get open for a 3-yard score.
It's a really good job on any of these throwback plays. You've got to be so patient. You've almost got to stumble and bumble, and that's exactly what happens here, to work through that junk. And you can see as he falls to the ground there, look at, he's stumbling, he's bumbling, the eyes get lost. And that's an easy pitch and catch for a much-needed 6 for BC.
Lichtenberg makes it 7. The 17th touchdown pass of the season for Anthony Brown. And misdirection, Brock, worked to perfection.
And I think Mr. Adazio liked the 7 much more than trying for 3.
Sean Riley will let this one go, as it'll be 1st and 10 for Syracuse at their own 25-yard line. And Brock, could you have imagined when we were in Tallahassee a few weeks ago for that Clemson game that there was still a chance we'd be watching Florida State playing to get bowl eligible a few weeks later? They looked like they were going to lose every game the rest of the season.
And so did Book Guy.
You think Book Guy's still there. I'm not sure he ever left. Dungey back to throw. He's going to take another deep shot for a wide open Riley. Blown coverage by Boston College. A complete bust for the touchdown. And Dungey lights them up. Riley takes it the distance.
Yeah, and you saw this a bunch last night in the West Virginia game in Oklahoma. It is that inside vertical, right? And you can see the conversation there between corner and safety and nickel linebacker. But when you run that inside vertical here, you put a lot of pressure on those three guys. It's not the outside vertical, it's that inside vertical. And there's got to be some communication here to pass this off, and they don't. And ultimately, it's about as easy as it's ever going to get from 80 yards for Eric Dungey.
We are now tied at 7. A little over 3 minutes to go in the first quarter here at Chestnut Hill. As Michael Walker from the 10-yard line hurdles over a tackler. Another good return. Still going. Did he lose the football? He may have lost the ball at the 36-yard line. Trying to grind out a couple of extra yards. Syracuse thinks they have it. And they do. The Orange get a takeaway as Boston College blows a coverage to give up a touchdown. And now Michael Walker gives up the football.
And it was the littlest guy on the field that not only came up with it, but Sterling Hoffrichter, the punter and the kickoff specialist. But look at this. He gets his helmet and his shoulder pads right on the football, right there. Eyes up, heads up. How many times do you see the kicker go down there and put a form tackle on play and then fight for the football as well? Dino Babers told us. He said, my kicker and punter, they're just not like normal kickers and punters. They're football players.
Syracuse coming into today trailed only Ohio State and Utah State in terms of takeaways this season. And they'll spread things out with Dungey. Boston College brings a blitz. Dungey being pursued. Lobs one down towards the 5-yard line, and it's scooped up by Jamal Custis at the 2. First and goal, Orange.
In that play, may sum up Eric Dungey as well as any. It's why he tears your heart out, says Steve Adazio. It's a blitz. On the whiteboard, you beat him. And if that's Tommy DeVito, he may be sacked. But Eric Dungey sees it, he reads it, he gets outside, and then he throws an end-over-end pass. I mean, that thing may not have been wobbly, but it gets the job done. And that is what he has done for 4 years with the Qs.
Play action. Dungey looking end zone. Now he's out of the pocket again. With a stiff arm. Close to the 7-yard line. It'll be second down and goal.
And guys, all the stuff Eric Dungey does, he does it when he's not 100%. We talked about his back injury coming into this game, and earlier in the game he slid out of bounds on the far side of the field, and he completely scraped up his right throwing arm. His elbow, forearm, pretty raw right there from a good turf burn he got, but he just battles through whatever comes his way.
This time he gives it to Mo Neal, and it'll be third and goal at the 4. Isaiah McDuffie made the stop for BC.
Yeah, he likes it. I mean, he's one of those QBs. Sometimes you tell your quarterback, protect yourself. But you would take his game away from him. He loves the contact.
They run the quick game. Dungey again out of the pocket. Looking for the pylon. Touchdown. Just when you think you have him bottled up. His 13th rushing touchdown of the season for Dino Babers.
And that's Connor Strahan, the middle linebacker here, that just loses a half step of contain. They run a little line stunt inside. That is Strahan, the senior, that is out over the top, and that is just the difference. That is why the guy has rushed for 33 touchdowns and 2,000 yards in his career. He is just a half step better than you more often than not.
Andre Schmidt for the point after. The fumbled kickoff costs Boston College 7, and we're back in 30 seconds. Is there ever a better weekend than this weekend to have the app? You suffered through at least the first half of that Apple Cup last night, but your Huskies, boy, did they take that game over in the second half physically.
171 yards here, total offense in the first quarter. Eric Dungey has made a statement in the first 15.
Michael Walker from the 2, turns the corner. Another good return. Good field position for BC. Play action. Anthony Brown, the screen to A.J. Dillon. And he is met and driven back. Boy, was that well diagnosed by Kylan Whitner.
Yeah, the leading tackler, he's out there in a one-on-one situation, and they don't throw to Dillon much. That's just his 8th catch of the year after a goose egg a season ago. So a little bit of a new wrinkle there, and in a one-on-one situation, Whitner beats the block and is able to get to the legs of Dillon.
The toss. Dillon dives out across the 30. Trill Williams, the true freshman, cuts him down, and that will take us to the end of the first quarter. Syracuse by a touchdown here at Alumni Stadium. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Allison Williams here at Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill. Boston College struck first, and Syracuse has answered with a couple of scores. As the Cuse has the 14-7 lead, we open up the second quarter with Boston College 115th in America on 3rd down and facing 3rd down and 9.
And looking at man-to-man coverage, who is going to be the one to separate and win?
Shotgun for Brown. Out of the pocket to the sideline. Out of bounds. Trying to dive and make the catch was Kobe White, but he was not able to stay in bounds, so BC will have to kick it away.
And a nice job there, and you see why the Orange are 5th in the country. That looks like man-to-man early. Brian Ward's crew, a wonderful disguise. They drop into a 3-deep zone. Nowhere for Brown to go with the ball. Late to the sidelines. Forces the punt.
Grant Carlson with a line drive kick to Sean Riley. Dangerous return man. Looking to make that first wave miss. And he gets bottled up at the 33-yard line. Both of these teams middle of the pack on 3rd down, but there goes Dante Strickland. Boy, the seas part for number 4. And a 3rd down conversion takes him all the way to the BC 30-yard line. Picks up 32 yards.
You know what that play was, right? That was Mama. Dino Babers calls that play Mama.
And they waste no time. A screen out to Sherrod Johnson trying to catch Boston College, running players on and off the field. They've got another 1st down.
And this is just a counter play, a power play, where you just wash it down. You pull the, poor Martin there, the right tackle, had no one to block. As Boston College stunted themselves out of the play. What a tremendous 3rd down call, an inside power run on 3rd and 5.
Strickland breaks a tackle. He's at the goal line, and he's brought down just short. 1st and goal, Syracuse.
This is it. Once again, same exact play. It is that A-gap. It is that trench that is going to define the outcome of this game today. And that is now a couple runs here for Syracuse, running right at BC, creating that movement. Dino Babers, a University of Hawaii alum, it is his favorite play in the book. He loves to wash it down like a wave and win that turf right between the guards.
And off to Jarvion Howard with a push, short. He may have lost a yard. As Boston College got the push, Max Richardson was there to make the tackle. It'll be 2nd and goal, closer to the 2.
That's a really nice job by BC. Look at all the shoulder pads staying square. Low man wins. And the extra effort there in the tackle by Richardson.
Chris Elmore, the fullback. Jarvion Howard, the tailback. Another try for Howard. No, a rollout for Dungey. Looking for a cutback at the goal line. He's in. That's a Syracuse touchdown. The 2nd rushing touchdown for Eric Dungey.
He's just an igniter. He makes everybody around him better. And many times that is on the quarterback. Your opportunity to give, to pull. That's a one-on-one situation. He's out there in space, and who is going to win it? And more times than not, number 2 has a big reason they're going for win number 9 this season.
If Dungey had stayed in the game last week, maybe the result wouldn't have been any different. And with all due respect to Tommy DeVito and what his future might be at quarterback, but boy, how much did that game last week change with a flag down on the point after attempt and some pushing and shoving when Dungey went out. It seemed to take all of the air out of whatever balloon the Orange had going into a big game.
Yeah, it may be an up-tempo team, but don't kid yourself. Dino wants to be as physical as anybody in college football.
That's a good-looking family right there in the front row here at Alumni Stadium.
That's an old-school Syracuse sweatshirt right there, too.
On Leslie
From the
Zaroli.
heyday.
And Jake down there as well. So we're glad the Zaroli family could join us on this Thanksgiving weekend here at Alumni Stadium. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams, 21-7. The Cuse on top of BC. 2 rushing touchdowns for Eric Dungey on the day, and Boston College will start at their own 25-yard line.
So where's the big play going to come from here? You've seen it on the other side for Syracuse, right? You have seen those explosive plays. They found a few of them in the run game. Dungey can be creative. Where will that chunk play come? Is it in the play action pass? Can you finally get Dillon, who is still hobbling on that ankle? That is what has really been lacking here offensively in this first half.
They'll start off with Bailey. And the freshman goes up the middle, close to a first down. Well, Boston College 3 years ago was number 121 in America in chunk plays of 20 yards or more. Last year they went to 70th. This year, 20th. So the play action has worked this season. They're going to run it with Bailey on second down. And he will pick up about 4 and move the chains.
And that's got to be Jeff Smith. He's the speedster outside. We've not really called his name. Michael Walker, we saw the kickoff return earlier. You've got to find some way. Kobe White off of that heavy run action if these safeties are going to commit to the run.
There's play action. Anthony Brown lobs one to a wide open Jeff Smith. A blown coverage for Syracuse. BC takes advantage. There's the chunk play and a touchdown.
Yeah, so eventually you do run it. And we're just talking about where is this going to come from, because you just watch the fast flow of these safeties and they just get lost. And right behind it, I mean, pick your poison. Where do you want to throw that one? You have multiple opportunities, but those eyes in the backfield, you know, we saw some miscommunication on the other side for Syracuse defensively. That had a whole lot more to do with some of that run action and the defense so committed to getting those safeties involved. And Smith finally the explosive play behind it.
Boston College makes this a one-score game. Back in 30 seconds. While Michigan is supposed to be known for their defense, that's supposed to be the calling card. That's what's going to power them to the college football playoff. And they are not going to want to hear about it in Ann Arbor if Jim Harbaugh can't beat Ohio State this year. If not this year, when? Michigan a road favorite in that series. Very rarely as Sean Riley makes the fair catch to bring it out to the 25-yard line.
The problem in that Michigan game is Shea Patterson is absolutely out of the spark. He's a little like Dungey. He's an eraser. He makes others better, but they are just not equipped and not explosive. And you started to see that hinder over the last few weeks leading into that game. I know Ohio State's given up an awful lot of points defensively, but that offense is the most explosive in that conference.
Dante Strickland picks up 3. And another college football playoff spot on the line tonight. 8 p.m. on ABC. Notre Dame at the Coliseum to take on USC. And Dungey loses the snap all the way back inside the 5-yard line. He's going to heave one, and he got it to the line of scrimmage. So he avoids any kind of a grounding penalty as he got the ball back to the line of scrimmage, kept his composure. And now it will be 3rd down and 7.
Yeah, he's still communicating some calls here, trying to get things right with his wide receivers. And you can see Aaron Service there, the center, has no feel for that. But what a heads-up play from Dungey. That is the kind of play a senior makes. Won't show up on the stat sheet as anything but an incompletion.
Boston College shows blitz, and now Dungey looks over. Will BC bluff out of the pressure? Now they're going to bring it. And they'll rush only 3. Dungey extends the play, takes a shot down the sideline, caught. Taj Harris, first down to the BC 36-yard line, picked up 35.
What did Steve Adazio say yesterday? This kid, Dungey, just takes your heart. It's 3rd and 8. Well, first of all, second down, the ball snapped right by him, and then 3rd down comes all the way back. You rush 3, you drop 8, and he just kills you.
Now he's looking for Custis, broken up. Ham Cheevers was back, and there is a flag down on the play. Right in the middle of the field.
Holding. Defense, number 24. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Tajamir Torres.
Here's the one-on-one ball. And that's the nation's #1 interceptor in Ham Cheevers. Adazio wanting the call there, and then right in the middle of the field, you'll see this. And that's just Torres tossing the Syracuse receiver.
Dungey with a pump fake, and he's going to throw this one away. So Boston College forces an incompletion with Tanner Carafa getting some pressure on Dungey. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
There's nothing like 37 starts of experience. The ball gets snapped over your head, no big deal. And knowing to throw it and get it back to the chains. Oh, you're going to bluff out of the blitz, no big deal. You're going to drop 8 into coverage. I'll keep the play alive.
Big hit right at the first down line to gain on Nykeem Johnson, and he holds onto the football. He got popped by Lucas Dennis. What a catch. Dungey wants to go quick on 3rd down. Quarterback sneak. How about a quarterback run and a power to the goal line? Is he in? He is. Dungey with another touchdown run. Is he tough as nails?
That is one bad man, Bob.
Wow.
Does he get it all the way to the end zone? I think he does. It just has to break the plane.
An 18-yard touchdown run, and he left Will Harris in his wake.
He loves to play.
Dungey has accounted for all 4 Syracuse touchdowns in one way or another in the first half. 3 rushing on his own. Adnan and the guys back in the studio. It's time for the halftime report. And welcome back to the ACC on ESPN. Just about set for the start of the 3rd quarter here at the Heights. The first half, it was the Eric Dungey show. 28-14. Syracuse has the lead on Boston College. Not too bad for a guy who was limping off the field last week, couldn't practice this week, had to be helped to the bus. Now with a back injury, comes out this week and lights up Boston College. It's been the story of the afternoon.
Yeah, a lot of hot tub time, a lot of massage, get yourself right. And you had a sense from the very beginning when he showed up in this building a couple hours before the game, he had a mindset to play. I love what Dino said to Allison walking into halftime, is that he just had that mindset. He's an old school tough guy. 300 yards of total offense. If BC does not find an answer and a way to contain his playmaking ability, they've got no chance here in the second half.
Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, watching Sean Riley run this one back. And down on the field, Allison Williams with us as well.
Bob, it does not sound like we will see Boston College running back A.J. Dillon in the second half. He was not out there for the final few series of the first half. He is on the bench, full pads, helmet in hand, but Steve Adazio said he is unlikely to play here in the second half. You know, he's been battling that ankle injury. He said with him not being 100%, we're going to look to the backups and probably will not utilize him for the rest of the game.
That is really disappointing for Boston College, as obviously his absence was notable, but there are times where they will have him on a pitch count because they know there's only so much that his ankle injury can withstand. But ruled out for most likely the rest of the game. And a little touch forward to Nykeem Johnson. How about that play? The ball barely touches the fingertips of Eric Dungey, and he simply touches it forward for the jet sweep.
Well, those are called the easiest passing yards in college football right there.
Second down and 5. Neal about a yard or so shy of the first down. Brandon Barlow made the stop. Actually, they'll give him forward progress right to the line to gain, and they'll say it is a first down. Backwards pass to Taj Harris. He's looking back for Dungey, and he just about threw an interception. He underthrew it back, intended for Dungey. And Tanner Carafa had a chance at a pick. So Syracuse moving the ball effortlessly, gets cute, and it almost cost them.
Yeah, that's borderline absurd to run at your own 30-yard line.
Dungey back to throw on 2nd and 10. Long pass down the sideline and an easy interception for Tajamir Torres. He's got blockers. Tajamir Torres out of bounds at the Syracuse 32. Complete miscommunication between Dungey and his wide receivers. They broke their route off. He threw it deep, and it basically became a punt. And it looks like it was Nykeem Johnson that he was looking for.
Yeah, and many times, Bob, this is about how many safeties are back. And Eric Dungey sees one safety, so he thinks it's going vertical. And instead, you're going to see Nykeem break this route off. And by the time Dungey throws it, he is trusting that his receiver's going to get vertical. I don't think there's any reason for Nykeem to break this route off. He does. And then your pick on the trick play before, you can see Dungey right there. Oftentimes, that receiver, like the quarterback, has got to see the coverage behind. You let that one go, and you can see the obvious disappointment from Dungey.
David Bailey dives up the middle for 2. So now the question is, can Boston College take their takeaway and make this a one-score game? As Syracuse capitalized on BC giveaways in the first half. Anthony Brown down the sideline, drops it in perfectly. Ben Glines, touchdown.
They get a 2-on-1 on that safety there, and they put him in a bind. And this is where and why this coaching staff's awfully excited about Anthony Brown. He shows you flashes of this playmaking ability. And for Glines, the redshirt junior there, a perfectly timed wheel route. And Anthony saying, yes, thank you, Syracuse. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the takeaway defense. And you pay it off exactly what you needed to do to begin the second half.
Ben Glines was a running back in high school, came to BC, injured in 2015. It's gone back and forth between running back and wide receiver. Well, Brown found him there. Anthony Brown with his 3rd touchdown pass gets Boston College back within a score, and he had a lot of places he could have gone.
Well, yeah,
here.
this is not bad back here. Where do I want to throw a touchdown? Let's see. Do I want to throw one here? Do I want to throw one here? Or ultimately, will I take one on the very bottom? Really, every option available there is Syracuse. Just a very poor job in their zone dropping there, covering nobody, and kudos to BC and Anthony to take advantage of that takeaway.
3rd time this season Brown has had a 3-touchdown game. He's in the pocket here, under pressure, avoids a sack, and is able to throw it away.
And guys, that's what Steve Adazio said at the half with Dungey. He said we have to figure out a way to contain him and keep him in the pocket. He said the issues defensively were lack of execution and then miscommunication. He said we cannot have that, because if we do, Dungey's going to make us pay every time.
He's got 2nd down and 10 here, and he has been lethal when he's gotten outside of the pocket. Boston College blitzes. Dungey finds a slant to Sean Riley, and it will be 3rd down.
Yeah, this is a fun pre-snap game for those of you that enjoy watching coverage, trying to decipher from your television. Is it blitz? As you see Riley hobbling off the field. The amount of movement pre-snap here for Boston College defensively. Pretty good game, cat and mouse.
Dungey pulls it down, and he's got a 1st down.
And then ultimately, you can draw it all up the way you want with the Jimmies and Joes, and say this guy's got this gap, that guy's got that containment, and you can have it right. And then ultimately, he breaks one tackle, does Dungey, and he beats you.
Quarterback draw again. Boston College not set defensively, and he victimizes them again for about 6 yards, as BC can't even get their eyes forward and their cleats set, and Dungey's snapping the ball and going right up the middle. Another blitz. Dungey. Easy pitch and catch with Custis. Jamal Custis has a 1st down as he was able to drive Lucas Dennis down the sideline. You can stream college football all season long on ESPN Plus. So start your free trial today by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com. Dante Strickland. And he is able to grind out about 6 yards or so. This is a young man that when he was in 8th grade, His father lost his job. His family had to move into a motel where he lived throughout high school. And he was embarrassed because when he was getting recruiting letters, like from Syracuse, they had to go to a post office box because 5 kids shared 2 beds in one motel room. The sacrifices his parents made to keep the family together. Eventually, his dad found another job, and here he is at Syracuse, about to get his degree. And he picks up a first down. A good run by Dante Strickland.
And there's just a beauty in the simplicity, isn't there? I mean, you just see the same commitment to attacking the same space. It's an inside-outside, man. It is a boxer that's going to the body to deliver the outside perimeter blow.
Dungey looks one way, takes a shot towards the end zone. The other way to Custis for the touchdown. 6'5" wins.
Playground, man. You get it on the playground. Earlier on this drive, he stops on this route. You know, he's got full freedom here. You want to stop on a little curl route, you want to keep running. This time he keeps on running. He's got the matchup with the safety there. A perfectly timed and executed throw to go let your 6'5" receiver go up and get it. Have yourself a day, number 2.
5 touchdowns accounted for Eric Dungey. He's thrown for a couple. He's run for 3.
You can hear the "Let's Go Orange" chants. Alumni Stadium.
And it's back to a 2-score lead with 4:52 to go in the 3rd quarter. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, and Allison Williams back at Alumni Stadium. Here in Chestnut Hill, it has been the Eric Dungey Show. 3 touchdowns on the ground for the Syracuse quarterback. He's thrown for a couple as well. The last was 6'5" receiver Jamal Custis, and he has piled up the yards.
Well,
today.
when he's in the game, you can see why they've scored 50 points plus in 5 of their 11 games. I mean, they are just difficult to contend with. A guy that keeps plays alive, that erases the mistakes of others. And it's been the 3rd and longs. BC's going to kick themselves at those 3rd and 10 plus where they do not get off the field.
Now, BC's going to get field position here. And more great football tonight, as we'll see if Notre Dame and Clemson can get wins in rivalry games and stay in the college football playoff as BC runs up the middle with Bailey for 4. Again, no A.J. Dillon, as Allison Williams told you a little while ago. That ankle injury is just too much to play on. Now it's 3rd down and 5 as the true freshman and David Bailey, really the poor man's A.J. Dillon. Dillon's 245 pounds and Bailey measures at 245 as well, but not nearly the explosive quality that Dillon has when he's healthy.
This is an enormous 3rd down for your defense, just for the momentum and confidence in this building.
Only a 3-man rush. First down, hook up to Sweeney. The tight end rumbles inside the red zone. And finally, out of bounds. And let's see, will they mark him out at the Syracuse 19-yard line.
That's a pretty headsy play there by Anthony Brown, using his shoulders and his eyes, faking the bubble screen. But why are you biting? Why are you biting on a bubble screen on 3rd and 10? Just that situational and field awareness. And you've seen the challenges in some of the zone coverage for both of these groups today.
And off to David Bailey. He picks up 4.
And you know why? Because at times, defenders can help themselves. The same thing when a QB scrambling 5 yards down the field and he pump fakes like Ben Roethlisberger. Why are you possibly jumping? Because sometimes just those mere actions attract those defenders.
Bailey can't hold on. 3rd down and 6 at the 15-yard line.
That's a good play. And you know, if you've got a secondary that likes to jump routes and be very active, you got to use your shoulders and eyes.
BC down by 2 touchdowns, but in the red zone. And very clearly 4-down territory, you would think, as they dive forward with Travis Levy. And Brock, we've made that point before. That's a tip of the hand as to what they're going to do on 4th down when they run that play on 3rd down.
Yes, but you would sure love, against the numbers in the box, to not have a low snap in a mistimed inside zone run and get more than a yard. On the play X's and O's wise, they had a lot more there.
So 4th and 6, BC goes for it at the 15-yard line. Brown, incomplete. C.J. Lewis stopped his route. And Brown can't believe it. He's all over his sophomore wide receiver as C.J. Lewis just stopped running.
Yeah. And he stops running because he feels that inside defender. But you can't. I mean, this is 4th down. I mean, these are the plays right here on senior day as a young sophomore. And you're an old quarterback yourself, CJ, and you know it as you look back to your teammate. You know that you have got to finish that route, even if you take a collision in the middle of the field, and Steve Addazio has a tough football team. And that's not a tough play there by a wide receiver. That just alligator arms it, looking at the contact instead of just embracing it and finding a way to stay alive.
Syracuse comes right back with an up-the-middle run to Mo Neal. And he picks up 8 yards on 1st down.
And you can add 8 more yards to that trench, that A-gap trench right in the middle of the field that Syracuse is just continuing to attack.
Neal again. 1st down run.
That's 2 more yards. And look at this. I mean, add 2 more. That's now 28 carries for 113 yards. Think there's a commitment to it? I mean, there really is just a beauty to the simplicity of what they do. And if you don't stop it, they will continue to call it.
A slant behind it, incomplete behind Nykeem Johnson. And Brock, you see the effect it has on a defense as well, because how impactful has play action and some of the out-of-the-pocket stuff for Dungey been today?
No question.
Where there seemingly been no Eagles to defend him at times? Well, how would you deploy your troops if you're giving up 100-plus yards right between the tackles?
This is why every great defense wants to be strong from the inside out, and any offense worth their salt knows to attack them that way.
Dungey keeps the play alive and fights for a yard. Barlow and McDuffie sandwich him at the 28-yard line. So here is a very important 3rd down and long. Can the BC defense get a stop and get off the field, keep this a 2-score game?
And is he a QB or is he a lineman?
Well, I was talking to Matt Park, the radio voice of Syracuse at halftime. He said that touchdown run where he ran over Will Harris in the 1st half was the best run he's ever seen Eric Dungey have.
And 10 and 15 on 3rd down, the story of this game.
And they're going to run it right up the gut. Dante Strickland surprised at that call, that conservative on 3rd down and 9. He only picks up 3.
Yeah, a little bit. I think that's also playing to just the overall game, to your group, to a pretty good punter, to a quarterback that is also getting a little more beat up as this game evolves.
Now, if you're Syracuse, would you not let the entire quarter clock expire? It looks like they will. And that should take us to the 4th quarter, where Boston College will begin the 4th with the football down by 2 scores. But as dynamic as Dungey has been today, to just dive up the middle on 3rd down and 9?
Pretty conservative.
4th quarter coming up. Syracuse on top by 2 touchdowns. Welcome back to ESPN's College Football, presented by Xfinity, as we start the 4th quarter here at Boston College. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Allison Williams here in Chestnut Hill.
I think at a minimum here, you have got to try to use your cadence. BC's been jumpy a couple different times, so I think at a very minimum here, these 30 seconds on this play clock, you're going to get up to that line and at a minimum do that, or run this sneak.
Boston College jumps. That's unbelievable. And Dungey knows he's got a free play. A jump ball down the sideline, incomplete, intended for Nykeem Johnson. But again, Brock, a spot where you have to think the BC defense has to think, hold your water.
Defensive tackle in the neutral zone to snap. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
And you can see Addazio just terribly frustrated. I know it, you know it. I think a lot of the folks sitting in these stands know what's coming here on a 4th down in your own territory. The one thing you cannot do if you're Big Ray Smith, but those are the dividends that get paid when you run right at them. Right, when you're not just a perimeter finesse team, these guys are trying to get an advantage.
Jet sweep to Riley. And he is corralled at about the 47-yard line. But if you're Boston College, just thinking time and score at the minus 43-yard line in the 4th quarter, up 2 touchdowns, there is nothing about that situation in the game that says it's wise for Syracuse to snap the ball.
Nope.
And yet you still jump off sides and bite on the hard cap. everything in football says hard count and then we'll punt. Play action for Dungey. As he's falling down, hoists a pass, and it comes to Sherrod Johnson. What a play by Dungey, and what a great play by the wide receiver to come back and help him, as it looked for the world like Dungey might be sacked by Richardson.
Well, this could be really close. They may want to take a look at this. Does that knee touch the ground before that ball is out? It is as close as it gets. And once again, your buddies, this time Johnson and Custis and Riley, all of them, they just know their QB keeps the play alive. And out on that playground, you love to play with guys like Eric Dungey.
Will replay buzz down? They do not. Strickland goes up the middle and picks up about 3 yards.
And we've just seen gamers like this in college football. Right? We've seen what Trace McSorley did for James Franklin at Penn State, really elevating that program. You know, you've seen now what Eric Dungey has done this season for Dino Babers and this staff. I mean, those are plays that they are going to miss mightily over the years to come. And Tommy DeVito and anybody that's got to fill his shoes are going to look at plays just like that and say, yeah, there are very few that can do it like he can.
Strickland into the secondary. First and goal, Syracuse at the 5.
Just wear you down. Body blows just wear you out.
Strickland again. And he moves the pile to the 3-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and goal. And all of this possible because Dungey made this play. Now, was his knee down?
Oof.
It looks like he got it away. And replay did not buzz down and stop play. But Brock, is that ball out of his hand before the knee touches? Looks like it is. That's a heck of a play by the quarterback there. Strickland up the middle. And Boston College holds at the 1.5-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
What a tug of war inside with some of these interior linemen for Service and Adams and Roberts against big Ray Smith inside there, 305 pounds. This has just been a battle royale right there for that turf, for that real estate. These guys love it.
Dungey lobs it. Perfectly thrown. Taj Harris, touchdown. You can't do it any better. Another touchdown accounted for Eric Dungey.
I think that look says it all. And we'll see what happens and transpires over these 9 minutes. And the BC has got a miraculous comeback in them. But if they don't, Steve Adazio is going to say, their guy, number 2, made play after play after play on 3rd downs over the course of this game. Now his 6th touchdown that he accounts for.
Syracuse 11 of 18 in the game on 3rd down. And they're scoring on 3rd down to open up a 21-point lead with just over 9 to go. Changes the game for Dino Babers when he is allowed to put number 2 in there. And they have earned that lap. Over on the sideline, a career high for Eric Dungey. And he has been dominant today. He's had a share in all of the 42 points scored by the Orange. And they now have a 3-touchdown lead. Couple of yards deep. Walker will bring it out. Good return to the 30-yard line. And that will render everything that Michigan has done this season moot, as far as Michigan fans are concerned. A jet sweep. And at about the 35-yard line, Kobe White is brought down after a gain of 4.
Yeah, you just wonder a little bit like Mike Leach up at Washington State, 10-1 this year, an unbelievable year. We saw them in the last 2 weeks. But against Chris Peterson, he just can't beat him. He's 0-6, his scheme and his style. Now Harbaugh is looking to be over. And his man-to-man defense and all that they love to do sure is great against everybody else in that Big Ten, but against the playmaking and speed of Ohio State, not a good match.
Slant to Kobe White. He's to midfield. BC needs to score quickly as Trill Williams spins him down. And this throws some chaos, assuming that score holds, into not only the top 4, but also where does Ohio State go? How much respect do they get, despite some of their terrible performances, even in wins at times this year? A long, flat pass thrown near the line of scrimmage for David Bailey is incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10. Kylan Whitner was there in coverage. And BC has caught Syracuse a few times today, Brock, in busted coverages when they have sent multiple players vertical.
Yep.
Four-man rush. Another check down. And it will be 3rd down and 10 as Glines couldn't hold on. Time to look at this week's college football playoff rankings, brought to you by Capital One. And let's say the Michigan-Ohio State score holds. Let's say you now react to what happened with UCF and Washington State yesterday. Oklahoma, in a completely defenseless game, beats West Virginia 59-56. What happens to LSU if they win? Where do they drop to if they lose? What happens to UCF? That ball stripped away from Anthony Brown. That looks like a loose ball. Picked up for the moment by Alton Robinson. He lost it. A further scramble for it. And Syracuse eventually ends up with it anyway. A takeaway by the Syracuse defense. Alton Robinson picked it up for a moment, tried to run with it. He lost it. And finally, Kylan Whitner tracked it down. 3rd turnover for Boston College.
Yeah, and it was Alton that gets to that football before the hand goes forward. A wonderful job by Alton. We've not called his name an awful lot, but that now the 10th sack this season for Mr. Robinson. And that may just do it. A group that's taken the ball away all season long. A group that has been fantastic on 3rd down all season long. And a group that desperately needed their number 2 back in the fold, and with them shows why they've won 9 games. And really, you look back on their season, 2 4th-quarter leads lost at Clemson and versus Pitt, and who knows where this Syracuse team would be.
Strickland for 3 yards.
But those are the plays that will just drive Steve Adazio and the staff. I mean, crazy. This is the year for Boston College with 4 senior offensive linemen, with 3 senior defensive linemen, a couple of which are going to play in the NFL. And those are the decisions. And I don't think you can say you're too emotional this afternoon on senior day. It is just the level of execution that the guys in orange have done throughout.
And this will be a very disappointing way for Boston College to end their season. It'll be 3 straight losses. Clemson, Florida State, and Syracuse to end a season where at one point they were 7-2. Dungey out to Custis. He stepped out of bounds. Quarterback run for Dungey on 3rd down and long. And he picks up a yard. That'll take us down to 4:27 to go. And is Boston College going to spend a timeout here? As they're about to get the ball back, you would think, on 4th and 11. Although 2 hard counts here, and if BC jumps, could make things interesting. BC jumps again. And Dungey has a free play again. That's intercepted, but it doesn't matter as Hamp Cheevers steps out of bounds with the football. Boston College on 4th down jumps in the neutral zone. Ray Smith again.
I think if they jump a 5th time, Adazio may just jump off the sidelines. He just may jump out in that defensive huddle. I mean, this is an O-line guy. This is a line of scrimmage guy. There you see Coach Campanelli as well. I mean, this is getting to the point where you also just wonder if there is something in their call, right? If Syracuse knows some of Boston College's move calls or one of their things. I'm sure this is a little bit of the discussion. I mean, Ray has played a ton of ball for 4 years here at Boston College. I don't know why in the world, even here again on 4th and 11, you are that antsy.
If only the officiating crew were as antsy.
During the play, offside defense, number 96, at penalties decline. Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 36, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Oh, so you don't even need.
After the play is over, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 2, 15-yard penalty, remains first down Syracuse.
You got all that, Bob?
That's multiple 15-yard fouls even after Ray Smith jumped in the neutral zone.
It really is hard to fathom.
And a 3-touchdown lead. And they'll hand it off to Jarvion Howard. We've got Jim Blackwood, our officiating expert, here in the booth. And Jim, whose responsibility is it to be aware that that's the second unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on Eric Dungey? Who documents that should be, if not the official himself, letting him know?
All 8 officials should document every time there's an unsportsmanlike call, so that one knows if the other forgets.
And if that's his second, he should be done for the afternoon.
That is correct.
So we are 0 for 8 on the field in terms of the officiating crew knowing whether or not Eric Dungey should still be in the game. Jarvion Howard runs left. And we might be getting word that the last unsportsmanlike conduct penalty has now been changed to Dante Strickland, not Eric Dungey. So the number 2 that they announced has now been changed to number 4. And it's right there. So it wasn't Dungey that actually had the unsportsmanlike conduct foul, in spite of the fact that that was what was announced to the crowd.
Softly good win for them. And this is a really big, after again that just physical beating a week ago, to bounce back in this way as a crew and really dominate this game throughout.
Howard for about 2 yards, and it's 4th down again. And the Syracuse offense is still on the field. And will this be yet another hard count?
Yes.
Will they snap the ball?
This will be another hard count.
Dungey under center. And they will snap the ball. And Dungey on a keeper will go down as he's brought down by Brandon Barlow. So BC gets the football back on downs. 3 scores in the hole with 3:18 to go. Well, we'll see how this game finishes. But the wide-angle lens view that can't be lost for that head coach and that quarterback to punctuate their season with this win. 9-3 for the first time since 2001. This was a team that was picked preseason to finish last in the Atlantic Division of the ACC, and they're about to finish in 2nd place. Double clutch to Tommy Sweeney from Anthony Brown. And Sweeney's to midfield. Picks up 13.
Back-to-back 4-win seasons, and a number of those games over the last few years have been highly contested. Right, the awfully big win a season ago against Clemson at home. And this year they got over the hump. This year they were the team that won many of those games. I think their physical nature a big part of it.
An interception dropped right into the hands of Shaim Cullen as he was back in zone but couldn't hold on. That would have been his first career interception.
Would have been the 30th takeaway for this crew on the season as well.
Brown bobbled and dropped by Michael Walker. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
I'll be curious to watch this quarterback battle next year, because I think Anthony Brown and E.J. Perry is back. EJ reminds me a lot of an Eric Dungey on the other side, of just a very physical kid, a very gifted kid, very tough kid. I think you're going to see a very contested battle this spring between those two guys to see who's going to be the one to elevate this crew another level next year.
In stride, it's Walker, and he is planted, but holds on to the football for a first down. Paid the price as he was hit hard by Trill Williams, but he's got 20 yards.
That freshman is willing to stick his nose in there, and Michael Walker, there will be no question about whether he is willing to run across the middle of the field in this, his final game in this stadium.
Brown finds Walker again to the 18-yard line. And that is good enough for another BC first down.
And BC will return a few linemen. Yes, they lose 4 starters. They've got a few returners. They're going to bring back an A.J. Dillon, who really is their Eric Dungey. I mean, they have built their program around that run game and around his physical presence. And I hope for that kid he can get healthy by bowl game and certainly into his junior season as well.
There's an interception, jumping the route, Andre Cisco, his 7th of the season. Boy, you can only throw that flat route to the far side of the field so often before at some point a defender's going to jump it, and Cisco just did.
We've got all these fun game notes and stats every week, and I'll tell you, by the end of the year, who you are as a team tends to typically show up. It's showing up in Columbus this afternoon as Ohio State's an unbelievably explosive team, and they're finding ways to do it against Michigan. The Syracuse team that sacks the quarterback, that gets after them, that takes the ball away. That now the 4th of the day and the 30th of the season. And then ultimately an Eric Dungey that has been one of the most prolific players in the history of this conference. Top 10 in yards and total offense and touchdowns. Was just a guy that, in Steve Adazio's words to us yesterday, just takes your heart away. Right, something that matches a mark that's only been beaten by the 87 team that was undefeated. And then you get a chance to get to number 10 in that bowl game. That says something to those evaluators at the next level.
We talked to Mike Leach about Gardner Minshew last week and asked him, along those same lines, the most misunderstood thing about the air raid system. And all of these offshoots of that DNA that have always been thought of as systems in college football, but not something that you would see in the NFL. And he said the biggest misconception, look at the Super Bowl last year. It was the air raid Super Bowl. Yep. You can say whatever you want about how the NFL guys sometimes look down their nose at the air raid quarterbacks or at air raid systems in college. That's just a system guy, but just look at what the Patriots and Eagles ran against one another last year in the Super Bowl. They basically ran a lot of air raid stuff. And now those kinds of quarterbacks are being given an opportunity to play in the league.
And look at the difference this kid makes one week to the next. Knocked out of that game, carried out of the stadium at Yankee Stadium a week ago. Question of whether he would be able to even come back this week. And frankly, I think a lot of us felt he couldn't. And Steve Adazio sure wished he wouldn't see, and he's not going to have to see any more Eric Dungey in this division of the ACC. Dino's going to miss him because that kid's got the heart of a warrior, and it was on full display today.
A 2nd place finish of the ACC Atlantic and a 9-win season for a Syracuse that was picked to finish last. That's a tough way to end senior day for Zach Allen, limping off the field as Syracuse wins it by 3 scores here at Alumni Stadium. For Allison Williams and Brock Ewart, I'm Bob Wischusen. A 21-point win for the Orange. Back to the studio.